Hey everybody, Dr. Mike Hattabaugh at Hero Marriage, and today I want to give you a new way to measure how good your relationship is, and I think you're going to like it. Stay tuned. So one of the mistakes that we make in modern day relationships is we try to compare them. And what's funny is we always compare up. We usually say, well, we're not doing as good as those folks are. Or how come they do this? Or how come they're, and we have social media and the internet and movies to live up to. And the reality is that they aren't livable because they aren't real. So much of what you see in relationships is not the whole picture. Trust me, I've been in this game long enough to know that nobody is doing as well as media, video makes them to be doing. Now, does that mean that people are doing horrible? No. But I want to give you a new way to measure your relationship. And if you'll think about this in your relationship, it should make a positive impact. So one of the things that happens to me when couples come to me and they say, oh, our relationship's in crisis, and this happens a lot. It doesn't happen all the time, but a lot of times people come and sit down and go, oh, well, we've got this problem and this problem and this problem. And I'll sit there and I'll listen to everything. At the end, I'll say, now, on the scope of things, let me tell you something. Your relationship is doing better than you're thinking it is. Yeah, we got some things to work on. Yeah, there's some things we can clean up. And, sometimes it is. There are train wrecks. But most of the time, it's, you know what, if we can just tweak this a little bit, it's going to get better. So let me give you a number. And this number is really important when it comes to measuring your relationship. And that number is the number 51. 51 is the magic number. What does the fifth word 51 mean? Well, here's the deal. If your relationship is 51% better than being alone, then your relationship is good. It's passed into the good category. We're not in school. You don't need a 70% to be average. You need a 51. Now, I'm not talking about abuse or anything like that. It doesn't mean like, well, except for the weekly beatings that we have, our relationship's doing great. No, that's a 0. That gives you a 0. You can't go above that once it happens. But the truth is that most couples are just struggling in certain areas. And we think, we jump into relationships, and we think, oh, we're committed to each other. We love each other. It's going to be perfect. It's never perfect. For years, my wife has given me a score. I've asked for it. She doesn't like giving it to me, but I've always said, give me a score on a relationship. On a score of 1 to 10, what is it? And for years, I always got a lower number than I thought I deserved, right? I mean, I'd say, oh, it's an 8.5 this year or 9. I'd get a 7. Recently, I got a 9.5, which for my wife is amazing. And I was thrilled to earn that from her. But anyway, she didn't like that for a lot of years because it's hard not to say, why isn't our relationship perfect? But I want to tell you that internally, this is really important. If you can say that your relationship is 51% better than not being in one, then you need to be content with that. You don't need to compare to others because they're in a different journey than you. I see couples that have great marriages that I know them well enough to know if I was married to their partner, it'd be a train wreck. Because we wouldn't be that compatible. We'd clash in other areas. And I know people say the same thing about my marriages. Wow, I couldn't be married to that guy. So that's what I'm talking about, is compare yourself only to you alone. And I think you'll find your contentment level will go up. And the interesting thing about that is when the contentment level goes up about your relationship, the value of your relationship goes up. So just by being content with 51 will likely push your relationship up into the 60s or 70s. Well, from there, it's not far to get into the 80s and 90s when you realize that 90% of the time your relationship is better than being alone. And that is an A in my book. And that should be your ultimate goal, but you should be satisfied with 51. So I call that the rule of 51. I'm not going to label this video that because people go, what's that? But instead, I want you to keep that rule in mind. I teach a whole couple lessons on this in all of my relationships courses on how to have the rule of 51 apply in your relationship. And I can't tell you enough how important that is for you to learn how to do, to figure that out, to come up with that number inside of you, and then be content with that and say, all right, now I just need to go up 1 percentage point at a time. And once we get you on that journey of saying, all right, I've got it to 51, now 52. then 53. You can do that one point a week. And guess what? All of a sudden, a year later, you've climbed 40 points. And wow, then you're in a great relationship. So keep that perspective in mind. The goal here is not 80, 90, it's 51. Make that your goal. If you're already there, be content with that and say, wow, now I want to make it better. If you're in the 40s or 30s, well, then yeah, we got some work to do to get you to 51. But you're not going to come in and go, oh man, we're in the 30s or we're really struggling. We're really about to fail here. And my goal will be, if the short goal, and actually that will probably be the 2 or 3 month goal, will be, what's it going to take to get you to 51? We call that survival, and that's our first goal, is just to get you to 51. Then once you're 51, the sky's the limit, and that's our goal. All right, so again, that's where we coach from. We try to come up with that number. I probably should develop a test for that, huh? That'd be kind of, leave me comments below if you think, hey, that'd be great if I could take a score test on how healthy is my relationship. Then we could tell you if you're a 51 or not. But that should be your goal, regardless of where you are or where you assess you are. By the way, this is not something you should talk to your partner about all the time. Maybe once, and then just assess every now and then, because it just, like I said, my wife hates it when I do it. I'm a relationships guy. I love doing it, but most couples, not so much. But you do need to come up with, where are you at? How healthy is your relationship? That's where you sometimes need coaching and counseling, whether it's from me or somebody else. You need to get that, because they can really help you devise a plan that will take you to 51 and beyond. That ultimately is a hero marriage. When someone realizes, my goal is not perfection, my goal is to be better than it is when I'm alone or when my partner is alone. By the way, that's the first assessment that your partner makes about whether or not you're worth staying with is it better being with you than it is being alone? And at some point, when that number gets flipped, then all of a sudden that's when relationships are in crisis. And that's what we want to prevent here at Hero Marriage. Hey, if you like this video, remember to hit that subscribe button and share this with somebody you like. And don't forget to hit the notification button to know every time we put out new videos like this about relationships. And again, down below, we've got links to online coaching, some courses you can take, and our Facebook page. So thanks a lot for your support. We really appreciate it. If you want to be one of our Patreon partners, that link's down below as well. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you're watching these and sharing these with other people. It just means the world to me, and people are beginning to notice, and I just appreciate that so much. So thanks again, and I hope that you have a hero marriage.